This story is not just about a famous inventor. It is about a boy who was called slow, but changed the world. Many English learners feel shy. Many feel they are not smart enough. Thomas Edison also felt this way once. His life teaches us. Mistakes are not failure. Slow learning is still learning. Curiosity is powerful. Practice beats talent. Confidence grows with effort. When you hear this story, you learn English and life lessons. And maybe you start believing in yourself more. Let me tell you something interesting. Imagine a small boy in the 1800s, messy hair, curious eyes, always asking why. That boy was Thomas Alva Edison. He was not born a genius. He was not a top student, actually. Many people thought he was a problem child. Thomas was born in 1847 in Ohio, USA. His family was not rich. They lived a simple life. But Thomas had one special habit. He asked questions all the time. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? How does fire work? What is inside this? His mother sometimes smiled. His teachers sometimes got tired. One day at school, something happened that changed his life. Thomas kept asking questions in class that the teacher became annoyed. Finally, the teacher told him, "You're too slow to learn. You're distracted. You cannot study here." Then he gave Thomas a note and said, "Give this to your mother." Thomas walked home quietly. He didn't know what was inside the note. At home, he gave it to his Dot. She read it, and her eyes filled with tears. Thomas asked, "Mom, what does it say?" She smiled and said, "The school says you are very smart. They cannot teach you anymore. I must teach you at home." Thomas felt proud. He thought he was special. So his mother started teaching him herself. She gave him books. She answered his questions. She encouraged his curiosity. Years later, after his mother passed away, Thomas found that same note. He opened it. It actually said, "Your child is mentally slow. He cannot stay in school." Thomas sat quietly for a long time. Then he wrote in his diary, "My mother turned a slow child into a genius. That is the power of belief." Now, let me tell you something funny. Thomas loved experiments, but his experiments were not always safe. Once, he wanted to see if birds could fly because they ate worms. So what did he do? He fed worms to a friend and said, "Now you will fly." Of course, the friend did not fly. Instead, he got sick. Thomas learned an important lesson. Curiosity needs wisdom. As he grew older, Thomas didn't play much like other kids. He liked reading books. Science books. Chemistry books. Mechanical books. By age 10, he had a small lab at home. Bottles, chemicals, wires. His family worried, but he loved it. Then life became harder. His family needed money. So young Thomas started working. At just 12 years old, he sold newspapers and snacks on trains. But even on the train, his mind was busy. He turned a small train compartment into a tiny laboratory. Yes, a moving lab on a train. One day, a chemical spilled and caused a small fire. The train staff got angry. They threw his lab. Outland slapped his ears hard. Some people say this accident damaged his hearing. Thomas slowly became partially deaf. But listen to this carefully. He once said, "My deafness helps me focus. I hear less noise from the world." See the mindset? Problem gives advantage. While selling newspapers, he also read every book he could find. History, science, mechanics, He didn't wait for school. He created his own education. One day, something brave happened. A child was playing on railway tracks. A train was coming fast. Without thinking, Thomas ran and pulled the child away. The child's father was a station master. He was grateful. So he taught Thomas how to use the telegraph. This skill changed Edison's future. Thomas became a telegraph operator. He worked in different cities, day shifts, night shifts. But during quiet hours, he kept experimenting. Always testing, always thinking, always dreaming. He was not famous, not rich, not successful yet, just a curious young man with big ideas. And this is where his real journey begins. Young Thomas Edison was now a telegraph operator. He worked in different cities, sending messages in Morse code. That sound filled his days and nights. Telegraph operators had to stay awake for long hours. Sometimes the job was boring. Sometimes it was stressful. But for Thomas, it was a classroom. Every quiet moment was a chance to learn. Instead of resting, he read books beside the machine. He drew ideas in notebooks. He imagined new inventions. Other workers chatted. Thomas experimented. People started noticing him. They would say, "That boy is always thinking." But his life was not easy. He moved from city to city. Sometimes he lost jobs. Sometimes he made mistakes at work. Once, while experimenting at night, he got too focused and missed a message. That message was important. He was fired. Yes, fired. But here's something interesting. Thomas didn't cry about losing jobs. He treated every job like training. He learned skills. He observed machines. He asked how things worked. Then he moved on. He believed one thing: if I learned something, the job was worth it. That mindset is powerful. One day, he started thinking, why only send messages? Why not improve the machine itself? So he began inventing. His first small inventions were related to telegraph machines. He tried to make them faster, more efficient, more reliable. Some worked, many failed, but he kept building. At age 21, he created an improved telegraph device. He sold one invention for a good amount of money. For the first time, he had real cash. Do you know what he did with the money? Did he buy a big house? Fancy clothes? Travel? No. He built a workshop. Tools, wires, batteries, parts everywhere. His workshop looked messy. But to him, it was magic, he said. This is where ideas become real. Now listen carefully. This part is important for English learners. Edison did not learn he learned by doing. Try, fail, fix, repeat. That was his method. Soon, he moved to New York, a big city, big opportunities. But when he arrived, he had almost no money. He was nearly broke. One day, he walked into a company office. Their telegraph machine was broken. No one could fix it. Thomas quietly said, "I can try." They looked at him like, "Who is this young man?" But they allowed him. He opened the machine, checked wires, adjusted parts, and guess what? It worked. The company was impressed. They gave him a job immediately. This moment changed his life. Sometimes, one chance opens a big door. Soon, Thomas started inventing more seriously. He created a stock ticker machine that printed stock prices quickly. Businesses loved it. It saved time and money. He sold the rights to this invention for a large amount. When they told him the price, he was shocked. He expected a small amount, but they paid him thousands of dollars. Thomas later said, "I almost fainted. For the first time in life, he had real financial support. Now his dream grew bigger. He didn't want to invent one machine. He wanted to invent many. So he built something special. A research laboratory. Not just a small room. A full invention factory. This place was in Menlo Park, New Jersey. People later called it the Invention Factory. Imagine this place. Tables full of tools, glass, bottles. Metal parts, wires everywhere. Clocks on the walls, notes on papers, half-built machines on desks, and Edison moving around quickly, thinking, testing, fixing. He hired assistants, smart workers, mechanics, but he worked harder than all of them. Sometimes he worked 18 to 20 hours a day. He would forget to eat, forget to sleep. When tired, he slept on the lab table. Just short naps, then back to work. He once said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." Meaning, ideas are small. Hard work is everything. Now, let me tell you about a fun invention. One day, Edison asked, "Can we record sound?" People laughed. Todd. Disappears. How can you capture it? But Thomas believed it was possible. He worked on a machine using a cylinder and foil. He spoke into it. Mary had a little lamb. Then he played it back, and the machine repeated his words. His team was shocked. They thought it was magic. This was the phonograph, the first sound recording device. Newspapers called him the Wizard of Menlo Park. Imagine that. A boy once called slow was now called a wizard. People visited his lab just to see him work. That he became famous. But he didn't relax. Success did not stop him. It pushed him more. He said, "There is always a better way." But success also brought pressure. People expected big inventions, big results. Some experiments failed badly. Some cost a lot of money. But Thomas didn't quit. Failure didn't scare him. He saw failure as information. He believed every failed try taught him something new. And soon, he would begin working on his most famous invention, something that would light up the world. All right, my friend. Now the story becomes really exciting. By this time, Thomas Edison was already known as an inventor. People respected him. Newspapers wrote about him. But he was not done yet. He wanted to create something big, something useful for every home. One evening, while working late, he looked at a gas lamp. In those days, homes used gas lights. They were smoky, sometimes dangerous, sometimes they caused fires. Edison thought, what if we make a safe electric light? A light powered by electricity. Clean, bright, safe. Simple idea, right? But making it real was very hard. Many scientists had tried before. Many had failed. Still, Edison said, "I will try." And when Edison said try, he meant thousands of experiments. He and his team started testing materials for the bulb filament. They tested metal. They tested wires. They tested carbon dots. Some burned too fast. Some melted. Some didn't glow. Day after day. Experiment after experiment. His assistants got tired. One helper said, "This is not working." Another said, "Maybe it's impossible." But Edison replied calmly, "We are learning." Imagine the lab at night, dark outside, quiet streets, but inside his lab, light, tools, action. Edison moving fast, writing notes, testing again. He failed not 10 times, not 50, but hundreds of times. A reporter once asked him, "How does it feel to fail so many times?" Edison smiled. He said, "I did not fail. I found 1,000 ways that do not work." Think about that. Mindset. Failure equals learning. Many people quit after 5 tries. He continued after 1,000. That is the difference. Finally, after long effort, he found something special. A carbonized bamboo filament. When electricity passed through it, it glowed for many hours. The light bulb worked. The team watched quietly. The bulb stayed lit. Minutes passed. Then hours. It did not burn quickly. It stayed glowing. That moment was magical. Not just for Edison, for the world. Soon, people heard the news. A practical electric light is here. But Edison didn't stop there. He realized something important. A bulb alone is useless without electricity supply. So he worked on electric power systems too. Wires, generators. Distribution systems. He wanted whole cities to have light. In 1882, he helped build one of the first electric power stations in New York. And slowly, homes and streets lit up. Imagine living in that time. For the first time, people saw safe electric light at night. Children could read at night. Shops stayed open longer. Cities became brighter. Edison's invention changed daily life. People admired him. Some called him a hero. Some called him a genius. But let me tell you something real. Not everyone liked him. Success brings rivals. One big rival was Nikola Tesla. Tesla had different ideas about electricity. They disagreed a lot. There was competition. Arguments, scientific battles. This time in history was called the War of Currents. Edison supported DC power. Tesla supported AC power. Both believed they were right. History later showed AC became more common, but that does not erase Edison's contributions. He still built systems that helped start the electric age. Even great people have competition. Even great people are not perfect, and that is okay. Now here's something human about Edison. He was so focused on work, he sometimes forgot normal things. Once, a friend invited him to dinner. Edison arrived, sat quietly, thinking deeply. After some time, he stood up and left. The host asked, "Why are you leaving?" Edison said, "I already ate." But he hadn't. He was just thinking about inventions. His brain was always working. He also cared little about fashion. His clothes were simple, sometimes messy, for him. Ideas were more important than appearance. By now, he had hundreds of patents. But remember, his life was not only success. There were struggles, money risks, long hours. Stress. Still, he loved creating. He once said, "My greatest pleasure is to work." That was his happiness. From a boy called Slow to a man lighting the world. But his journey was still not over. More inventions, more lessons, more inspiring moments. So, my friend, by now, Thomas Edison was famous. People around the world knew his name. His inventions were changing daily life. But success has a price. And Edison paid it with time, energy, and health. He worked too much. Sometimes 18 to 20 hours a day. Sometimes even more, while others slept. Edison experimented, while others relaxed. Edison tested ideas. He once said, "Rest is a waste of time when there is work to do." Now this sounds inspiring, but also dangerous, because balance is important in life. Still, his dedication was unbelievable. Let me tell you something interesting. Edison didn't sleep normally. He took short naps. 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. He believed naps helped his brain. His lab even had small beds for quick rest. He would sleep, wake up, and continue working. His assistants tried to match his energy, but many got tired. Edison expected a lot. He pushed people hard. Some workers admired him. Some found him too demanding. That shows something real. Great leaders are not always easy. They are human too. Now let's talk about his personal life. Edison married twice. His first wife was Mary Stilwell. He loved her, but he spent more time in the lab than at home. Some say he even proposed to her, using Morse code. Imagine that. Their marriage had challenges because Edison worked so much. Sadly, Mary died at a young age. This deeply affected him. Later, Edison married Mina Miller. She was supportive and patient. She helped bring stability to his life. But even then, his true love was invention. His children sometimes felt he cared more about work. This is a lesson too. Success should not replace family. Now here's a powerful moment. One night in 1914, a terrible fire broke out at Edison's factory. Flames rose high, chemicals exploded, buildings burned. His life's work was turning to ashes. Employees panicked. Some cried. Edison was 67 years old then. Imagine losing everything at that age. His son, Charles, ran to him, worried and shocked. Do you know what Edison said? He calmly told his son, "Go get your mother. She will never see a fire like this again." Can you believe that? He saw beauty in disaster. The next day, he said something even more powerful. All our mistakes are burned up. Now we can start fresh. Most people would quit. He restarted. Within weeks. He rebuilt and continued working. That mindset is pure resilience, not crying over loss, but building again. This is a big lesson for English learners too. Maybe your pronunciation is not perfect. Maybe grammar mistakes happen. But like Edison, you try again. Mistakes burn away. Learning stays. Now here's a fun fact. Edison held over 1,000 patents. Yes, more than 1,000 inventions. Some famous ones include light bulb improvements, phonograph, motion picture camera, electric power systems. He helped start the movie industry too. Movies, entertainment, storytelling. So next time you watch a film, remember Edison helped make it possible. But here's something honest. Not all his inventions succeeded. Some failed. Some were forgotten. Some lost money. But he didn't stop. He once said, "Our greatest weakness is giving up." And he lived by that. Even in old age. He kept working. White hair, slower steps, but same curiosity. He loved asking questions. Until the end. Reporters asked him, "What is your secret?" He replied, "Stay curious, work hard. Never stop learning." Simple words, deep meaning. And think about this. He had little formal education. Teachers once rejected him. Yet he changed the world. So if you ever feel you are not smart enough, remember Edison. If you feel your English is weak, remember Edison. If you feel progress is slow, remember Edison. Greatness is not fast. It is built daily. Now his life journey was nearing its final chapter, but his legacy was already shining bright. So, my friend, we are now at the final chapter of Thomas Edison's journey. By this time, Edison was an old man. His hair turned white. His steps became slow. But his mind, still active, still curious, still thinking, even in old age. He visited his lab often. He asked questions. He discussed ideas. He stayed involved. He believed learning never stops. Now think about this. A boy called Slow grew into a man who held over 1,000 patents. A boy sent home from school ended up lighting the world. That is not luck. That is persistence. In his later years, Edison became a symbol of innovation. People visited him just to meet him. Young inventors wanted his advice. Students admired him. Scientists respected him. But he stayed simple. He didn't act like a superstar. He acted like a learner. One day someone asked him, "What do you think about your success?" He answered quietly, "I just found what works by finding what doesn't." Such a humble reply. Now here's a touching moment. In 1931, Edison became very weak. He was 84 years old. Doctors knew his time was near. His family stayed close. Friends visited. The world watched. People already saw him as a legend. But his final words were soft and simple. He looked around and said, "It is very beautiful over there." No one knows exactly what he saw, but those words touched many hearts. Soon after, he passed away peacefully. But here's something powerful. When he died, many places in America dimmed their lights for a minute to honor him. Think about that. The man who gave light was honored with darkness. That shows how much he meant to the world. But let's bring this back to you, my friend. Why does Edison's story matter to English learners? Because his life teaches exactly how learning works. He was not perfect. You don't need to be. He made mistakes. You will too. He learned slowly. That's okay. He kept trying. That's the key. Learning English is like inventing the light bulb. Your first try may not shine. Your 10th try may still feel weak. But one day, you will glow, and people will say, "Wow, your English is good." They won't see your 1,000 mistakes. They will see your final success. So speak more. Practice more. Try more. Don't fear errors. Every mistake is one step closer to confidence. Remember this line from Edison. Our greatest weakness is giving up. So don't give up on your English. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on yourself. Because maybe right now, you are like young Edison. Quiet learning, growing. And one day, you will shine.